welcome and hello to
Hello.
the Age of Geek podcast. I'm
The
Marley.
podcast. I'm Steph.
I'm Robert.
Yay! It's your favorite trio. We seem to be here a lot.
You know
Hopefully
what?
you don't mind us on your screens all the time.
And you know what? We like talking to each other. We've
Also
been
true.
on the chat for 40 minutes previous to the beginning of this, chatting. So, and now we're going to chat for another hour or so.
It's true.
Although, let's keep it short, you guys. I have to edit this later. Just kidding.
Yes,
Welcome to the behind the scenes.
Oh, goodness. But yes, today we're going to talk about a little movie that you might have heard of called
a
The
low
Flash.
budget indie film, The Flash.
Hey!
That was the slowest Flash I've ever seen.
We have visuals.
So you could see him. I mean, I could have just gone.
Oh.
I mean,
The Flash.
I love visual aids. That was great. I don't think I have anything that's like The Flash.
I'm looking for The Flash stuff.
and it's not only is it the Flash, it is an Ezra Miller Flash at that.
Oh, it is?
Oh. Okay.
What's on his tum-tum? Is that what is?
His tum-tum.
This was in the Justice League suit.
Okay.
Where he was still working out the design.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the metal plates and the friction-resistant fabric, and then all of the metal wires holding it together.
Oh.
Did he have that suit in Snyder Cut?
I believe so.
I'm trying to remember, like, because I've seen the Justice League and I've seen Snyder Cut, but like honestly, I don't remember which thing fell into what movie because I've only seen each of them once. But I do remember that Snyder Cut, the way that they ended it and had more of like the Flash as like a pivotal role. Mm-hmm. I really liked that, how they ended it. Because he like actually did his like cool like going back in time kind of thing that he does when he goes really, really fast.
How fast does he go?
Really, really fast.
I have to say that my dog's named after the Flash, not this Flash version. What's his name?
Barry?
Not Barry. My dog's not named, but it's Wally.
Is your dog named Bart? Oh. Well, here we go. How many Flashes have there been? Let's go with that. Let's start off there.
Oh my gosh.
I know there's one named Wally West and Barry Allen. That's all I got.
Is Wally West Iris's brother?
Nephew. Sorry, in the show, it was her brother.
Okay.
But in canon, Wally is her nephew.
Okay, that's right.
Actually,
because
yes.
Because I've seen that. I've seen the CW's The Flash.
Okay.
Quite a bit of it, and yeah, I remembered he was kind of like a half brother, I think.
On the show, yes.
Yeah.
So
no, he wasn't.
Was he a half brother or was he a full brother?
He was a full brother, but he went with their mom when their mom left Joe.
Oh, that's right. Oh gosh, it's been so long since I've seen the TV show.
Me
but
too. I always liked Iris. The person they got to play Iris was really cute.
Candace Patterson, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But as far as number of Flashes, so there's his dad is one of them.
Wait, I have a question.
Go ahead, Steph.
His dad isn't even in Flashpoint?
Barry's dad. I'm talking about Barry's dad.
No and no.
Okay. He is in the TV show, though.
So he's not.
Spoilers.
That's his dad.
It is not.
He has the hat.
Yes, not his dad.
Who is that guy then?
It's Jay Garrick, the Flash of Earth 2.
There's so many.
There are so many. The Flash of Earth 2. He was the first Flash the first known Flash. But in the TV show, the Jay Garrick character was played by the same person who played Barry's dad,
right?
John Wesley Shipp Jr., who also played the Flash in the 1990 series.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Why did they do that? That seems confusing in the TV show.
To have it was basically
there was a whole point to it.
Well, there was like the whole multiverse thing, and there's doppelgangers are different people, but they may or may not be the same person. Or it may not be the same thing. So
like
Jay Garrick
identities thing, which came out.
So Jay
come out this week.
Secret Invasion?
Yeah,
that comes out. Well, The week that this podcast comes out, I think, yeah, it comes
Sorry
out.
to throw in some Marvel stuff. We'll get back to DC now.
Oh, how dare you?
But yeah, Jay Garrick was the first Flash for DC Comics in I think he was in the early 40s. But then when they when they decided to update all of the heroes in the late 50s, they decided to go with more either science-based or more timely references for the characters. So Jay Garrick had been a physicist for the army, a bit of physicist who wound up in the army when he got doused with heavy water that gave him his powers. But when they updated it for Barry Allen, it was struck by lightning and chemicals, which is how you apparently get superpowers these days.
Chemical burns.
Chemicals, yeah, it's like Daredevil, the Flash. Just get some chemicals, it'll be fine.
There's this horrible card in Cards Against Humanity that says teenage mutants who are all injured but have no superpowers. Yeah, it's horrible.
I
But
remember that card.
I mean, that's what would really happen in real life on Earth, whatever Earth we're
Yeah,
on,
on whichever Earth.
99.
Well, in the DC universe, it'd be Earth Prime,
Okay.
and they're because of all the reboots they've done, they've renamed and renumbered Earths a couple of times. So you're just like,
I want to be Earth
somewhere.
Alpha. Ow, ow! I don't know. What do alpha people do? Arr, where's my testosterone? Anyways, that's a different podcast.
Tangent. Sorry, that's a different Flash, and
Yeah.
she's the Flash. No, she's the Atom. Nope, female Flash in that one.
Okay, my question was, so in this movie, Reverse Flash ends up being Barry from a different world.
Correct.
Is that how it is?
No, the Reverse Flash. Wow, because they kind of mushed two characters together for the Dark Flash, Reverse Flash. The Dark Flash, or the Black Flash, as they've called him in DC lore, is
he black?
His costume is
Okay.
with a red lightning bolt. He is
That
the
means
death
they're
of Flashes,
evil.
basically. He's the embodiment of death for the Flashes.
Okay.
And the Reverse Flash, and my figure for him is in another room because I didn't think I was going to be referencing him tonight, has been two people actually who've taken on the mantle of the Reverse Flash. One who just hates Barry, and one who wants to make him a better hero by giving him tragedies to overcome.
Oh,
Hunter Zolomon.
That's a fun name.
So he was also in the Flash TV show. He was the one who impersonated Jay Garrick.
Oh, that's right.
In like season 3 or 4, I believe.
Gosh. Yeah, I swear, like the thing with the CW series is that like, and I know I'm exaggerating, but it really seems like it when you look back on it. It seems like every single enemy to Barry Allen the Flash was just another version of a speedster.
I mean,
and
you
it
have
was
Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah, but he's just kind of there, but like it just seemed like his arch nemesis was always some other speedster, whether it was like a version of him or his dad or somebody else. Like,
you're not wrong.
His daughter in the future. We can't forget about that one.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I was happy and sad at the same time when they brought her in, because the character that they based her on is a child of Barry Allen, but the code name they gave her is a Legionnaire who was one of my favorites when they wrote her. Just like they're bringing her in. It's like, oh no.
What was the nickname for that for her?
XS.
Oh,
was her code name.
I think I stopped watching somewhere around then because I remember they were like, our daughter from the future is here, kind of thing. Him and Iris's daughter, and I was like, I don't know. That's like the last thing I remember.
Did they ever age Iris and Barry up, or were they always still kind of like mid-20s?
They seem to always still be mid-20s by the time I stopped watching, because I stopped watching like 3 seasons back.
Yeah, that was
going, isn't it?
It just finished a few weeks ago.
Grant Gustin does make a great Flash, though.
I really like him. I remember the first time they introduced him, and it was in one of the episodes of Arrow.
Era.
and
Mhm.
they needed like a consultant, I think, like a
Crime lab consultant.
forensics.
Mhm.
Yeah, like because he works in the forensics lab in the TV show too. And I just like, because I knew who he was, I knew what they were doing at the time that they were going to be starting that new show, and so I thought it was just really fun. Plus, in the beginning, I really loved Barry and I'm gonna butcher her name. What's the blonde in Arrow?
Felicity?
Yeah, Felicity. Yeah, yeah, that's her name. It's been so long since I've watched
And then
that show.
is Felicity the one that comes to become Black Canary? Or that's her sister?
No, that's
her sister.
Okay.
So it's
no,
someone
not her
else.
sister. Yeah, no, that's somebody else.
Okay.
But
Felicity
anyways,
Smoke.
Felicity
Yeah, Felicity Smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Nope, we're not going down that rabbit hole because I've got a
we're not
entirely
going into
different
the
rabbit hole.
Arrowverse. But
Yeah.
anyways, I just remember, I remember Grant Gustin, and I was like, I really like this Barry. Not that I really knew that much about the Flash, anyways, at that point, but it's I feel like out of all those Arrowverse TV shows, I feel like the Flash is probably the best one in my opinion. It was very cheesy in the beginning, but it kind of needed to be.
Arrow was great season 1 and season 2 with John Barrowman.
And
As-
Deathstroke, Manu Bennett.
Yes.
I love those seasons. Yes, those are the best. But like after that, they're just like, yeah. Anyway, my point being,
Grant Gustin's great.
Grant Gustin is great. Thank
But
you.
Grant Gustin is not in this movie.
No, but a lot of people wanted him to be when
Yes.
Elephant in the Room, Ezra Miller, all of that stuff, crazy stuff going down with him in real life and whatnot. And people are like, change the actor. And so everyone's like, get Grant Gustin. And they didn't listen to us.
No, I don't really understand why. We don't need to go super into it, but like, we stuck with Ezra Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's hard when you have someone who's supposed to be a hero that you look up to have such a messed up past.
Personal
and everyone
life
deserves second chances and whatnot, but maybe your second chance shouldn't be as the main character making a lot of money in a blockbuster movie about heroes.
Jonathan Majors.
There we go. That one too. That one too. Oh, come on.
Unfortunately, we
humans,
don't
be
know enough
better.
about what's going on with him.
No.
I wish that we knew more. I wish that they would be more forthcoming with what's going on, because I'd like to know, did he, is he guilty? Are you changing him or not? Are you making the High Evolutionary the new Kang or a variant of Kang so that you can bring Chakwiti, I always forget his last name, Iwuji, back, which I would be great with. I love watching him perform.
Yeah, they haven't severed ties altogether. So, but I mean, is that a great precedence too? If DC is making them their face right now,
well,
someone with a
Marvel has already been
cast.
been like, we can recast you, don't Terrence Howard. Just saying. Harrison Ford, and granted, Harrison Ford was necessary.
Who is Harrison Ford?
He's taking shoot.
Yeah, I don't know.
John Hurt. He's taking John Hurt's role as Thunderbolt Ross, the Secretary of Defense.
Oh.
So that's going to be Harrison Ford now in that role.
Is that the guy that was like, sign the Accords?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about.
Also, Bruce Banner's almost father-in-law.
Oh.
So there's.
Oh, I did not.
We haven't had like a good Bruce Banner movie in a hot minute either.
You're not probably never going to get one either, because Universal has the licensing rights and Marvel has to license him back to have him in movies.
So anyways, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Yeah.
So let me ask you both this. Concerning Ezra Miller's portrayal of Barry and the Flash. We have another almost real-time example of a Barry who's pretty much together. He gets along with people. He has a relatively normal social life. He's married, and we know that he's going to have kids in the future. And then we have Ezra Miller's Barry, who's not as together. And then we find another Barry in this movie who's nowhere near as together as the one that we're used to. So, what
Um,
do you think of his portrayal as Barry and the Flash?
I real. I thought that young Barry was going to be very annoying, but they did a really good job of making him funny, obnoxious, and not just obnoxious, obnoxious. I feel like the Barry Allen from Earth 44. No,
Okay,
is that what we're talking? I don't know. Anyways,
movie Earth or movie Barry.
movie Barry, older Barry. They almost made him like they made him extremely. It felt extremely socially awkward, almost like on the spectrum. Which
Hmm.
I don't know if that is something that's ever been associated with Barry Allen before. The friends at the beginning were just mean. I was like,
Hmm.
dude, well, get new friends. These people are dicks.
Yeah.
um, but I do like the way, other than that, like social awkwardness that I didn't. But I do think he plays a good Barry Allen.
Fair enough.
Yeah. No, same. I think like, cuz he is supposed to be a little goofy, a little quippy. I mean not supposed to be because I don't know what he's supposed to be, I'll be honest, but like I guess in my mind like
Sure.
and even just like from what I've seen with Grant Gustin, like he's definitely he's way more socially capable.
Yes.
And he's smart too, which I feel like in the movie, I feel like did we really get to see very much of his like intelligence like as like a scientist and stuff like yeah, we really didn't get to see that very much. And we saw that he works in a forensics lab and
Hmm.
does stuff, and obviously he was near a lot of really powerful chemicals working on stuff, and he knew about like the lightning and how to recreate. Anyways, like I feel like in the beginning of the movie I was kind of annoyed by Barry slash the Flash.
Like the opening of the movie, or in the first
Yeah,
part of the movie.
I would say pretty much the first part of the movie, maybe even
Okay.
first half, and especially until we met when we met younger Barry. I feel like all of a sudden we got to see like this like contrast between like a little bit more mature Barry and a younger Barry. And all of a sudden older Barry is kind of like now a mentor and he's
Hmm.
teaching him. And so you kind of see him grow up a little bit as well. And so I kind of liked seeing that dynamic because it helped me like older Barry a bit more, especially given the annoying younger Barry,
But it
because
also gave the
he was a
context.
little yeah for sure. So I don't know. I feel like he overall like yeah he did a good job. I think he was a good Barry. I think it was believable. It was it was good, but knowing how Barry is portrayed in the TV show, I just personally felt like it was still a little off.
Sure. The Barry in the TV show is closer to the comic versions that we've had than the Barry that we get in the movie universe.
Hmm.
That Barry leans a little closer to Wally West, um, but also not being Wally West. They didn't take all of the characteristics. The thing with the having the calorie count like he was, very much a Wally West trait, not a Barry trait. Barry never had to
Yeah,
deal with calorie counting, although they did bring that into the TV show.
yeah, a little bit. I mean, they definitely, yeah, they
But
brought it up a
but
few
Wally
times,
was
but
one basically he had to maintain certain caloric levels to be able to use his super speed.
Right.
Um, my
Okay.
my thing with the first part of the movie was I'm not used to Barry being quite so snarky, and
mm,
also a very brazenly snarky with Batman, who is not somebody you really want to be snarky with. But that, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. But either way, he was, like, why am I cleaning up bat messes? And I'm just like, because you're the one who can when the big blue alien is off doing things and the Greek goddess is doing things. Somebody's got to be there and you can get there fastest. Go. I did appreciate seeing Jeremy Irons as Alfred. To be honest, he's one of my favorite actors to portray Alfred. Just the way that he can ride herd on Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne.
Wait, is
Mm.
Jeremy Irons Barbosa?
No, that's Jeffrey Rush.
Oh, okay, sorry. Um,
Jeremy Irons was Scar,
okay, there we go.
so you still have a Disney tie.
We have to talk about that opening hospital
Do
scene.
I will let you talk about it.
Oh
'Cause
gosh. Oh my goodness.
it was for me. It was a little painful, to be honest.
It was very painful.
If
So
they
what
didn't make the babies look like freaking dolls, like so horribly, horribly fake, it could have been cute and quippy. The
It,
CGI was so bad.
well, I don't think it was just. It was not just the CGI on the babies. I think that the CGI for people in this movie, with three exceptions, was not great. And those three exceptions were the cameos that we got near the end of the movie
Yeah.
when they
The
showed
worlds are
their
colliding.
crisis points.
Mhm.
And seeing we'll get to that in a minute because I don't want to spoil it yet. But there were
We'll get
three of
there.
those that I thought those actually look good. But the babies looked bad. Anytime Barry went into the time bubble and went back, like his mother and father looked horrific.
Oh yeah, when they were like in that like I kind of viewed it as like an amphitheater like arena kind of thing because
Yes.
it was like
Okay,
circular. That
I
always looked so wonky.
well, I thought
And
they were supposed to look animated in that. Like they specifically wanted it to look wonky.
I don't know. It just
I don't
didn't
know.
it
Does that make
looked
it better or worse? I don't know, but yeah, no one looked normal in that.
no. So when they had those CGI effects, I'm just kind of like, eh. Now Barry's speed effects, great. I do have a point with the fact I do have a issue with the fact that he has to lean into his running stance and point
Yeah.
every time he runs. I'm just like,
Is
just
I
that
run.
think that's I
a
think that's
thing?
weird.
No, no. It's just like
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
thought
just
that was
not be
weird.
here now, and he's just gone.
And the way, and I don't know how to fix this either. I don't know. The
Is it the
way
speed
when he's
skater run?
running, yeah, it looks like he's running backwards. It's so
Mhm.
unnatural.
His
Just
arms are like
no.
flailing.
Well, and his
Look
legs
at
look, nothing looks right.
look at video of speed skaters, and his run style is a speed skater style.
Okay.
He's not leaning as quite as far forward, but the way that he's using his body and the way he's twisting is very much speed skater style.
All right. I'll go watch videos of Paulo Anton Ono from 2002.
Oh
That's
my
There you go.
gosh. So speaking of the babies and the bad CGI though. So I want to read a quote from our Age of Geek um friend
Co-conspirator.
here. Yeah, co-conspirator Tracy from the Movies That Make Us podcast. So if you go to our website at ageofgeek.com, you'll see his written review of The Flash, and it's under MTMU, which is Movies That Make Us reviews. And I really just want to read this because when I read it, I just kind of laughed. So he said, my main issue with the film is the really awful CGI that completely took me out of the movie at times. There is a scene early in the movie where Barry Allen uses his speed to save babies from a collapsing hospital, but is brought down by CGI babies, which will haunt my dreams tonight. When Barry is able to view past moments, I guess this is, continuing on kind of what we were just talking about too, with the weird like visuals of like the parents and stuff. Tracy says when Barry is able to view past moments and travel through time, the CGI looks like it was rendered for a PlayStation 2.
I mean, that is accurate.
But yeah, I really liked how he said all of that. So shout out to Tracy and his written review. Again, that's ageofgeek.com if you want to go read that.
And
The full
the
review.
whole time amphitheater thing I thought was weird. I could have seen like a tunnel as he's moving back through the past and having the whatever scenes he's viewing arching over him, or even as screens that he or as, images that he's passing through as he's moving
Mhm.
backwards in time. The amphitheater just seemed like an odd stylistic choice,
I agree.
but
It was
Well,
kind of sometimes it like made me dizzy too when they'd kind of spin around a little
mhm.
bit.
yeah, it was a weird choice. I know, like, for forever before this movie came out, they were talking about how it's going to like people were saying it's going to be Flashpoint,
And
and it's
it
like
was.
they half-assed Flashpoint, in my
And
opinion.
What's supposed to happen in Flashpoint?
so basically, Flashpoint, and they couldn't cover all the ground that the Flashpoint
That's fine.
did, but basically, Barry goes back to save his mom. He's like, it's time travel. I can do that. Goes back to
Mhm.
save his mom, and it's a different butterfly effect. His mom's alive. However, the Amazons and Atlantis, so Aquaman, are at war, and they just basically flood all of Europe. It would just they devastate Europe in their rampage. Superman was captured, and it was Superman in the comic, not Supergirl as we got in the movie, and was kept as a science project basically. I think that they did get that right when they did introduce Sarah Kai as Kara Zor-El, how she looked emaciated and worn because they kept her completely out of sunlight and under red solar radiation. How they would have
Right.
figured that out, don't know, but that's not the point. Um, but that look was very similar to how gaunt and worn Kal-El looked in the Flashpoint series. Um,
Bruce, instead of Bruce's parents dying,
Bruce
Bruce
died,
died, and what's his name? His dad becomes Batman.
and his mom became the Joker.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I thought there was something different that happened with Batman.
So I mean, there were they gave nods to a couple of the changes in this, um, but yeah,
I
all
thought
the
they could have
breadth of it.
very easily made Michael Keaton uh I
Thomas
won't
Wayne,
Thomas
Thomas
Wayne.
Wayne.
sure.
And when I mean I guess a lot of people love the throwback. Michael Keaton was never like my Batman. Yeah. But would
Which
you have liked it less if he was Thomas Wayne?
It, he would have still been Batman, but it wouldn't have been quite this. It would have been like, but isn't the old Flash just Barry's dad for some people? But you know, as somebody who was all in on the 89 Batman. Like, I was the guy who bought the bubble gum with the trading cards and had the set, the whole 9 yards.
That
Those
was the
cards,
Tim Burton Batman?
yes.
Yeah.
And it was, and after having Michael Keaton do Birdman, where he's just basically acting as Batman, acting in a very similar style, just like, you know, I want to see him in the suit again, quite frankly. So getting a chance to see him as a Bruce Wayne that is also past his prime in certain ways, but totally not in other ways.
He reminded me of the Fat Thor, for lack of a better term.
oh,
But that's how I felt, especially with when they were like fighting in the
In the
kitchen
kitchen,
before.
I,
Yeah.
I can see that. But and for me, it was great to see him there. And going back, I when they finally got her out of the lab,
Mm.
loved what they did with Supergirl for
mhm.
her not being raised in Kansas, for example. So her whole thing on humanity is, why should I let them? Why do I care if they live or not?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, she's got a point. I mean, all that
Well,
has known of humans is death and pain, or pain. So I can kind
especially
of see
when
that.
her like main cause has been to protect Kal-El. Like,
Yes,
so why should she help the humans? Cuz
exactly.
yeah.
And seeing Michael Shannon as in Antier, and I cannot remember her last name, as Fayora. Man of Steel was not my Superman per se. I liked Man of Steel, but it wasn't. I mean, I am a Christopher Reeve diehard, so I do not apologize for that.
I felt Michael Shannon looked old.
He did, but it was nice seeing him in the role and seeing what they were doing. Like they're recreating that scene that was very seminal for not only Bruce Wayne apparently, because we saw in the opening of Batman versus Superman him in Metropolis as Zod's first world engine was devastating Metropolis.
Right.
So we know that it was pivotal for him, and that was also what got him on Clark's put Clark on his radar. Is like, you could have done so much more, but all of this destruction is on you. And now we found out that it's equally pivotal to Barry because it was Barry's first real act as the Flash, as he's still trying to
Right.
figure out what he can do. And there's something that has been playing through my head for the past few days outside of the Flash, but It's a quote of superheroes seem to come mostly from a place of tragedy. I mean, your parents are shot in front of you, your planet blows up, you know. And then you have on the other side of the spectrum, you just got struck by lightning and lived, so you won the lottery effectively, and you got superpowers out of it. Good job. But we see him trying to be heroic and
Oh
immediately
yeah.
failing.
Mm.
Let me take that back. It's a 50-50. He does save the kid, but is not at the point where he could have saved them both. Where I think that a more mature Barry could have possibly saved them both in that moment. And watching that link to that one event that had so much to do with the evolution of two heroes, now three. I thought that was a very nice callback. I am not the hugest Snyderverse fan in the world, but I did appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so basically he does go back and he saves his mom, and then in that world Barry turns out to be kind of a spoiled kid.
Brat.
Yeah.
Freshman year, mom brings laundry home for mom to do.
It cracked me up when he was old Barry was in the kitchen with his parents and new Barry was walking into the house and you see him like kick a trash can. It was
Yeah.
just so stupid. It was silly and fun. And like I said, I do think their interactions, the Barry's interactions together, they could have gotten into they could have gotten into very, very annoying territory, but I think they kept it at a good,
Mhm.
funny territory.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely liked the dynamic between the two, and even just like it was definitely interesting too that he decided to keep the secret from younger Barry about the reason why he was even there in the
Yeah.
first place, to come back and save his mom.
Hmm.
But I guess for, plot reasons, he needed to keep that secret so that other Barry could, I don't know. I feel like he could have told him. I feel like he could have told him earlier
So
instead
I
of he just
saw
eavesdropping.
this movie on Thursday and then I saw Into the Spider-Verse on Monday. And both of those have really strong canon event parts like integral to them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're running together for me a little bit. But no, that was a huge canon event for Barry and his world. And so if he would have told him, I feel like it would have changed young Barry's reasons for wanting to do what he's doing as well, or wanting to change more things. As we see, he does in the end. He wants to change it
Mhm.
all, make it all better. So
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely like kind of sad slash tear jerkers a little bit, where when older Barry kind of got after younger Barry to be like, you need to appreciate mom more. Like, you don't know what, like what are you doing? Like, you are so like disrespectful and unappreciative.
Well, it was also interesting to see what it was that was Barry's trigger, because he kept, kind of like harshing on younger Barry, and you never understood why. And then it's like, you use Monkey as a dartboard. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I can see totally why that would annoy Barry to no end.
Yeah.
Because that was his one tie to the thing that his mom got him that he wanted, and to see another version of himself, just whatever.
She gets me monkey stuff all the time, or I have tons of monkey toys from her because that's what she calls me. It's her nickname for me, and
But when
it's
that's the
just
last
kind of
monkey you ever
another,
got,
right.
that was sad.
I mean, that was one of those. That was a very touching moment, because
Mhm.
you finally understand a little bit more about Barry, and just how much this, the lack of his mom and his father being in jail hurts him in this version of Barry. I mean, we
Right.
saw
Yeah.
in the TV show how he fought to get his father exonerated, and seeing a different take on that was interesting, and also seeing that, the take that they had failed, and that he is just like, you appreciate what you have, because it won't be there forever. And you're just like, how much are you going to tell him, Barry? It's getting a little dark here.
Yeah. Okay. So does lightning not kill people?
Not if you douse them with chemicals.
Nope.
That's science.
Science.
Everybody, if you want to become the Flash, here's what you need to
We
do.
do not endorse this. Age of Geek is not responsible for lightning accidents.
So,
Good thing they didn't list which chemicals there were.
but
so
didn't
then
they kind
people
of
can't.
show? Did they pan across in the lab scene where he's like, "These are the right chemicals," and I thought they showed some of them. Like, please don't show those.
You guys,
I
we
know,
have to
don't
have
give people
warnings on
ideas.
tripods. Do not give people ideas.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so not only do you get struck by lightning once, but what, 3 times in this movie? No, twice in this movie, because
Yeah.
he has to get shocked. Well, when he gets young Barry electrocuted, he gets electrocuted again and loses his powers, and then has to enlist Batman to help him regain his powers with, oh great, another lightning storm with a bat kite.
With a bat kite.
But it failed.
But it failed.
So they had to. So
he did
had
it
to
3
get,
times.
or,
Yes, because Kara came back and was
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I got this. We'll take care of this."
She's like, "Oh,
What do you think that bat kite was
Zap.
used for before it became a catalyst to
know.
making a superhero?
Because does nobody look in the sky at all in this world? Because oh, that's from Wayman. Oh, that explains a
Well,
lot.
At first, I didn't. Okay, I'll be honest. At first, I didn't realize it was a kite. I thought it was like kind of like a mobile like satellite. And I leaned over to Jason and I was like, "It's the Battlite." Instead of satellite, it's the Battlite. And he looked at me like I was so weird. And he's like, "That's a kite." And I was like, "Oh." It's the Battlite, you guys.
It'll be the Battlite from this day forward.
Can you just picture Alfred like making a kite for Bruce?
Oh my gosh, hand stitching.
I would have been. I am sad that we didn't get to see that Bruce's Alfred, because Michael Gough has been dead for a number of years. But
Oh yeah.
it was like seeing Bruce without Alfred and what he had become. Just not, I wouldn't say destitute, but just hermit. He became Christian
Yeah.
Bale. He became similar to Christian Bale at the beginning of
Batman
The Dark Knight
Begins.
Rises.
Oh
No.
Oh yeah, at
When
that point.
when he's broken.
That's right.
He's not broken, just bent. And he'll learn to love again.
Thank you, Nate Ruiz and Pink. Well, yeah, it was definitely I think it was kind of a interesting and kind of, I don't know, sort of refreshing take on Batman.
Yes.
Just because we have seen so many iterations of Batman in our time. And so it was just kind of nice to see, like, hey, here is this Batman that we do know from the 1989 movie. Yes. I was like, I know it. I think I just looked at it, but I was trying to remember the year. And I'm like, Robert knows. But like,
Marley and I weren't born then.
No, we were not. I also
are we doing this again? Really?
I also didn't see that movie until I was in college for the first time. But that's a different story.
No. Hold on. Just in 3 sentences or less, what was your take on that Batman?
I don't remember it.
Okay.
Marley also doesn't like Tim Burton.
Oh yeah, I don't really like Tim Burton stuff.
Okay.
It's not really, but I also got it. Okay. Here's the thing: the three
she
older
was
Batman
out
movies.
With a boy.
No,
four boys.
No, Batman movies. Okay, well, because there was the Michael Keaton.
There were 2 Michael Keatons. There's Batman.
There's 2 Michael.
Batman
Keaton
Returns with Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, and Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, and Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
Those are all Michael Keaton Batman?
Those are all, and Nicholson was the Joker in the first Batman movie.
Yes.
But all of those were both of those were the Keaton movies.
And then George Clooney and then Val Kilmer.
Nope, Val Kilmer was second,
Oh.
sorry. So Keaton, Kilmer, Clooney.
Okay. So I watched it was all 4 of those movies because I know I've seen all of them. I watched all 4 back to back in one weekend.
I'm so sorry.
So I'll be honest, it blends together. So I just had to Google to be like, hey, wait, which which villains and side characters were there in Michael Keaton's Batman, because I just can't remember. All I know is that I think it's George Clooney's I think that's the one. Is that the one that's Batman and Robin?
Yep.
Yes.
It is.
That's the one I didn't like the most.
Oh, really?
Good.
I
Good.
hated that one.
Good.
I thought that one was like
Horrific.
way over the top. Like me and some of my friends at the time, we always joked about how that movie never existed.
Would you like context for that? Because I actually know why it was.
Well, okay. For me, Batman and Robin, because of the age I was, which was probably around like 7, 8, I loved it because it was so campy, and Poison Ivy was so colorful and like sexy, and it had Barbara Gordon in it, and I loved Batgirl and Alicia Silverstone, and I thought what's his face was so cute because he was in Three Musketeers, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Chris O'Donnell.
Yes,
Chris O'Donnell.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, like, yes, he was horrible, but I thought he was funny and campy and weird.
Okay,
so I
for both of you,
Batman and Robin.
Both of you are not wrong, to be perfectly honest. And here's the thing, Steph, your explanation of seeing that at 7 years old, I totally can see that, where you just be like, this is fantastic, because it's a live action cartoon at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Marley, you're right, it was a horrific movie.
Well, and you have to realize too, like when I saw these older Batman movies, I already had seen all of the Dark Knight trilogy, and I knew
and
that
just ruined Batman for you. Got it.
Exactly. And so like, because I love the Christian Bale ones, like because I remember going to like the midnight movie, and I'm saying true midnight, not 8 p.m. The true midnight showing of each of those movies. And so like it was just, it was also a lot of fun, like growing up like teenager and on. Because I think the first one came out when we were in high school. I think Batman Begins.
Well,
but anyways,
dressing up as the Joker for the set for Dark Knight, I think.
Yeah, and I made like a T-shirt. Like I had like a cool Batman. Like it was just it was a lot of fun. But
we made a lot
so
of
I had
T-shirts for
those
midnight premieres.
So
like Twilight.
Yeah.
So really quick, the reason that movie was so campy was that Burton directed the first two. Then they brought in Joel Schumacher to direct Batman Forever, which was the one with
Val Kilmer,
Meridian Chase, Nicole Kidman, Tommy Lee Jones,
that's right.
and Jim Carrey, and Christopher O'Donnell. Chris O'Donnell. So he came in, and it was not a great movie, and it was moving more towards the camp side. But by the time they did Batman and Robin, Schumacher's vision for it was he thought that everybody loved the Batman movies because they wanted the campiness of the 60s Batman series with Adam West. So that's what he was shooting for, but also, modernizing it and updating it with all the technology of the time and the neon lights and everything, but full on camp. So that's why those two movies had so much, well, the Batman Forever, not quite as much, but he just leaned all in on it with Robin 2, Electric Boogaloo.
But you could see that too with how Jim Carrey played the Riddler. That's full on camp, but it works because of who Jim Carrey is and who the Riddler is.
Exactly.
As a person.
Now,
and then
also
they leaned too heavy into it in Batman and Robin.
And think of, before Carrey was cast in that, the original person they wanted for that role was Robin Williams.
Okay. Yeah, you could see.
Oh.
You could totally see Robin Williams being a Riddler.
That would have been
They
really
have
cool.
the personalities to pull that stuff off.
Yes.
Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy isn't quite the same.
No.
In that role. And Arnold Schwarzenegger should not be in movies. Yeah. I have never seen a Terminator movie, to be honest.
Robert is telling her to get out. It's okay. I haven't seen a Terminator movie either.
Oh. Okay. Oh, wow.
We just lost all credibility.
Well, thank you for tuning into this podcast. I guess we're No.
Oh my goodness.
And really, Schwarzenegger, I mean, they all leaned into the campiness. I mean, the Batman credit card. Yeah, do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Batman has a black credit card, and he's like, never leave home. And you're just like, oh, no, just don't, please.
Gosh.
Or all of the bad ice puns that Arnold made. And Uma Thurman just being not even being Uma Thurman, but just kind of
Well, like her garden and like that whole part where like Chris O'Donnell kisses her and
mhm.
then pulls off the fake lips. It reminds me of that character from Power Rangers. What's her name? Rita
Repulsa.
Repulsa. Like that look of Rita Repulsa in the is what Uma
Hmm.
Thurman's whole
Hmm.
poison iviness reminds me of a lot.
Okay, I can
And
see that.
so Power Rangers is low budget camp. So compare that to what was in the Batman movie.
Okay, fair enough. Good
Oh,
call.
also bat nipples.
Oh
I
my
was,
gosh.
I was hoping we were going to avoid that.
Oh,
Nope, not with Steph.
oh, the nip.
Okay, so like here's the funny thing is like we've been talking about Batman
Because
for
his
like
because
a good number of minutes now, and I was just kind of just thinking, I'm like, why are we doing this? But it really there was actually quite a bit of Batman related stuff in this movie, even though
and
it's a
not just him.
Flash movie.
It was, but not just. I'm sorry, not just the Keaton Batman either. We got a more than
No,
I expected of Ben Affleck as Batman in this movie.
Right.
for some reason I don't know if I knew he was even going to be in this Batfleck.
They
Well, I
had
knew that he was going to be in as
everyone but
Bruce Wayne for a
Henry
short
Cavill.
scene. They were.
Wait, say that again, Steph.
Everyone but Henry Cavill was almost
Well,
everyone but Henry Cavill was in
there
this.
was a CGI version of him.
That doesn't count.
I'm just yeah.
Where was Ray
And-
Fisher?
I was gonna say, and then poor Ray Fisher is just like in Elsewhere,
Wait,
which
who's
makes
Ray
me
Fisher
sad.
again?
He was
Cyborg.
Cyborg because
Oh yeah.
I would have loved a standalone Cyborg movie.
He like Barry. When I say he, Barry like barely mentioned like a cyborg reference like once in that
Right.
whole movie.
Okay, David F. Walker. If you somehow manage to see this, you need to come up with a good Cyborg movie to get to James Gunn, and you need to write it. Make it so.
What
Ooh.
does he direct?
He doesn't direct. He's a writer. He's a
Okay.
comics writer, and he also wrote Cyborg for DC for a couple of years, I believe. It was
Oh.
at least 1 year solid, but I want to say it was almost 2. And he had a very good. I enjoyed his take on Cyborg.
Oh, nice.
I,
Yeah, that would be an awesome movie. Yeah, it's too bad that we didn't get like any cyborg thing. I mean, we barely even got like Aquaman stuff in there. Like even in that universe that they were in with Younger Barry, like he calls like his dad over in what is it, Maine,
Mhm.
and he's like, I don't have a son. And so like they just basically totally wrote him off in that universe. So we didn't
Well,
have to
I think the
see
big
wherever he was.
And the big thing was that Barry even mentioned it that world had no metahumans, and that was one of the changes that his going back in time affected was no metahumans. The rocket from Krypton never landed in America, so there was a bit of a nod to Red Sun there as well.
So really we only got Batman and he was retired and there was like no crime, I guess, anymore.
Because
Or
Gotham was one of the
something.
best places on the planet to live at that point.
Yeah.
So is Kara Superwoman or Supergirl?
Supergirl is how they've titled her in all the press stuff.
Okay, so Kara was dope. We're not going to see her again, most likely. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
which is
maybe
unfortunate.
we will, but no, Kara was great.
I
mean, it
I
was
really liked
basically-
her.
I think that I mentioned this when we came out of the movie. I had the same problem with Supergirl that I had with Darth Maul for the Phantom Menace. They use all of this hype going into the movie to get butts in chairs, basically, and then they take this character in Maul's case, cut him in half, and in Kara's case, kill her, punch her to death,
10 times?
basically.
Like
different ways?
like a million different ways.
Yeah, so it's like they build up this
Infinity
great character,
ways?
and you're just like, nope.
Speaking
have
of
that.
Star Wars, I love the prequels because of the age I was when I saw them. Again,
Same.
I loved Hayden Christensen. He
Same.
was really cute. Natalie
Yes.
Portman is bomb. I
Oh my
love
gosh.
the prequels. The little like,
Yes.
pod racing is fun. Jar Jar Binks, I know he's very annoying. I didn't hate him as a kid because he's funny and dumb.
Mhm.
Eight year
And
olds
again,
love
no,
funny and dumb
honestly,
stuff.
I cannot
True.
argue against that as much as I went and saw that movie and was like, I'm never watching that movie again, which I didn't do until the girls came along and we were
Yeah, you
showing
have
them
to
Star
watch
Wars. It's
them.
like, and they were like, okay, this is great. I'm like,
Misa thinks Jar Jar's the best.
fortunately, no, because I would have excommunicated them both.
Get out of my house.
You're dead to me.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
Um, but I do want to
Yeah.
say that, like I mentioned earlier, I loved seeing Kara. I mean, the way that she was definitely an outsider. They leaned into that until she realized what Zod was doing and that he had to be stopped. And it really, she's the only one who could do it,
right.
and came back to try to help. Her initial interactions with Barry, younger Barry, I believe it was at that point. No, it was older Barry. We're just like, why do I? It's like very apathetic to
Yeah.
the plight of the humans under Zod, and then until she realized, no, he needs to be stopped.
Hmm.
I was appreciative that they put the battles in like the middle of a desert instead of, a highly populated city that where millions of infrastructure damage would occur.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
yes,
Oh, so much catastrophe.
yes, and I mean
So much damage.
even though even though they had this in the middle of the desert, I appreciated the fact that for the most part you could see most of the fighting. One of the big things for me in movies is fight choreography. So watching or fight videography, excuse me. So can you see the fights or do they just kind of cut away every 3 seconds to something else or a different
Right.
angle? And they showed and literally did not pull punches in this fight with, especially between Kara and Zod. And then, the berries realizing these guys are big and tough and we can't really hurt them, but we can, for the time being at least, outrun them.
Yeah,
And
make
then
it
Bruce being
difficult for
Bruce,
them.
and then Bruce
Yeah.
just being Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, and I was gonna say too, back to Kara, and Supergirl. Like I feel like I appreciated this Kara even more, even though we only got just like a small dose of her, because again, back to the CW series with Supergirl. I actually really enjoyed that TV series as well.
It was a
For a
good series.
while, yeah, for a while it was especially once Arrow stopped being good. Um and I never liked DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I That one wasn't really my favorite. But whenever they did crossovers, I only really tuned in because I wanted to see what was going on with all the other shows. But for a while it was The Flash and Supergirl that I really only kept up on.
Same.
And I just, yeah, again, very cheesy, but it was a lot of fun to see um even like her character and kind of get to know her a little bit more as well, as trying to live a human life and all of that kind of thing. And so like at the same time, it's a totally different actress, of course, with the movie Kara, but it makes me that much more sad too that we don't get to see more of her, probably not, um because we're missing out on it. Like we don't get to see her progress at all. We just got this tiny little dose and then they take it away. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll go back and watch the CW series if I want some Supergirl. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
you can watch the Helen Slater movie from 1984.
Oh,
84, yeah.
you could.
Um, but and finally, so let's look at the fact that Barry the younger overhears Barry the older talking to Bruce about
His
why he
mom
came
dying.
back and
Yeah.
his mom
And
dying,
that's
and he
how he finds
overhears
out.
this, and that triggers his his event of like, well, we can still save mom, we can save everybody, and the realization that he's going back in time and trying to fix things when the fights are not going the way the fight against Zod's army isn't going the way that they expected. So they're like, reset button, and we'll try this again, and nothing in the grand scheme changes. The
Right.
Yeah.
methodology changes for how certain characters die, but
Mhm.
nothing changes. And he's like, well, we just keep doing this until we get it right. And it took me up until just before they made the big reveal of who the Dark Flash was
Yeah.
to realize that, oh, wait a minute, he's got shards of Kryptonian metal. coming out of his, oh my god, it's him.
Yeah, it like matched it because there was that one that was like sticking out of his arm, and then when the dark flash,
Dark
was
Flash,
it
yeah.
dark flash like showed up, I was like, that
Oh,
matches. And then it was like pretty soon after
click,
that that they
yeah.
revealed. I was like, oh no.
It was one of those my own worst enemy situations at that point
Mhm.
of Barry, young Barry, just like being so we can fix this, we can still make this work, and older Barry's realization of this all has to go away. Mom has to die. All these things have to change, and the realization that that entire timeline at that point gets shut off.
Well, and
Yeah.
it showed such a level of maturity again for this Barry to come to that realization that, hey, I messed up
Hmm.
and I need to go back and make things right. And even though it's a world that I don't get my mom, that's where I need to be, and that's how it's supposed to be, kind of thing. And even just the fact of just going back and changing things constantly is
Hmm.
not the right thing to do.
It was really touching. The scene where he has to go and take the tomatoes out of the cart was I teared. I had a couple
Oh, with
tears
his
shed.
mom.
But I noticed this with Ezra Miller. Whenever he had a touching scene, his voice gets really high and squeaky. And I know that is happens, but it's like this for me, he did it a lot. And
Hmm.
it
I
was
don't really notice that.
oh, I did. It was all I don't know. It just and I know it does happen for men where they get emotional, their
I
voice
don't know
gets
what you're talking
low.
about.
But for me, I was just like, "Oh, he's sad again." You can tell by his voice.
Well, are you saying that it was like bad acting?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, before
It
we
was
talk
a
about
choice that was made that I question. Anyways, before
fair,
we go.
before we talk about the whole grocery store scene, I want to go back to what I alluded to earlier
Oh, yeah.
with the crisis points, and we get to see different Earths and
Yeah.
interacting, and we
That
saw a
was
number of
really
things.
cool.
I'm not sure that I liked the overall visualization of how they brought them in.
It
That was
was
a little
weird.
weird.
Like they're like
Yeah.
these like orbs
Well,
They're
but
like
it was
a
kind
more
of
like
world.
it was
thing.
like film, orbs of film, and
Yeah.
they were speeding it up to make it, real time. But we got to see the Adam West Batman.
It
We
Mhm.
was
got to
fun.
see Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater on an Earth
Mhm.
together, which actually never happened in the movies, and that was fun. And actually, this was the CGI that I thought actually looked decent because Christopher Reeve and Helen Slater didn't look bad as far as the other CGI, like the babies and anybody in the time bubble. They just looked creepy. These looked good, decent at
Yeah.
least. We got to see a
Nick
Superman I
Cage.
never thought I was going to see, and that's honestly Nick Cage. And you would have not liked his Superman because it would have been a Tim Burton Superman.
Yeah, probably.
So
Especially because he was fighting like a giant spider-looking thing
Brainiac,
too. And
that would have been
I
Brainiac.
yeah, and I'm like, I don't like spiders, and yeah. But yeah,
Um,
that was a nice surprise.
those were very
Yeah.
pleasant, and I was just like, I didn't expect to see this, but I am happy that I was here for it. And that little touch of just seeing other timelines and other dimensions heroes, and just like, okay, that's a nice kind of bow on there's a multiverse out there now.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
and
That
then
was pretty
barry
cool scene.
and then Barry goes back to put the tomatoes, or to take the tomatoes out of the cart and say goodbye to his mom, and even then changed another thing.
He switched the tomatoes from the bottom to top shelf to save
No,
his pups.
he put the tomatoes back on the right shelf. The label was slightly off though, and I don't know what made them then move the tomatoes in the restored timeline, but it did move them from the shelf that she found them on to the top where he had to look up, and it exonerated his dad. So he at least
So you
gets
could
his
see him
dad
in the
back.
camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and then Henry gets out of jail. Barry is happy, and he makes a phone call.
And Batman shows up.
And of course, the
And
Batman shows up.
I
well,
was
and you
shocked.
think, yeah, because the whole time you think it's like, oh, you know what? He's reset the timeline. He's back in his world. We're gonna see Ben Affleck again.
And we don't.
No.
And
They make you
apparently,
think that though the
and
whole time.
apparently, there were in talking with somebody, there were apparently three ways that they shot that scene, and one is Bruce Wayne says, "I'm pulling up now," and you see feet getting out of a car, and it cuts off there.
Oh.
There's another scene where he walks up to Barry. You see Barry's reaction of "What the," and they cut there.
Oh.
And then there's a scene that we saw, which had everybody's unfortunate unfortunate movie casting,
Fat
but great
nipples.
actor
George
George
Clooney.
Clooney.
George Clooney.
and
Yeah.
and we're just like, and now if we were talking people that I never expected to see in this movie, Clooney would have been it. I mean, I did enjoy Ben Affleck's Batman.
Affleck.
Clooney took the hit for the atrocity that was Batman and Robin. It was not his to take. He fell on that sword, and he has
Yeah.
continued to fall on that sword for 30 years.
Oh, poor guy.
But seeing him is just like, it's me, and you're just like, it's him. The whole Leonardo DiCaprio. I may or may not have done
um
that in the theater, just like, oh my god, it's him. They did the thing.
Oh yeah. That was such a fun like reveal and surprise. Like
so
nobody
is
I
he
was not
on the
expecting
right
that.
earth?
It seems like he's on the right earth, but this is one of the ripples.
Yeah.
So in the TV series, Barry, when he would change time and then go back and fix time, there were still consequences to that event. One of which was seen in Arrow, where the gender of John Diggle's daughter and Lila's son got switched to their daughter,
Oh.
and he had to
I don't
explain
remember
that.
that.
And he had to own up to that. In I've been going back in time and I've done some things, and the people like, so what has come out of this? And he had to explain to them, well, in the original timeline, you had a son, and that did not go over well at all. Oh, it didn't go over well in that it was more of the you went back and changed this, and just the realization of my life is slightly different, but radically different because of
Right.
these things. So this is one of those causality things where I change things, and for everybody else, this has always been the Batman in the Justice League. But for Barry, it's like, yeah, but what?
It's
Well,
like, wait a
okay.
second.
So with the end of this movie, what does that mean for the next DC films?
So it sounds like they're shuttering the Snyderverse and moving forward with a new universe, a new DCU cinematic universe.
And
Um,
our Pats is just elsewhere. Like he's not
yeah,
incorporated.
he would be what DC refers to as an Elseworlds, which is kind of like just a multiversal. It's out there. He's a Batman on a different Earth. That doesn't necessarily negate
Are they
his
going to make
movie.
any more with him? Because
I
I
don't
liked
know.
the Batman. I
Yeah,
I
I
honestly
liked that
did.
movie.
um
So
I think that they have talked about it. I know that Matt Reeves, who directed it, was talking about doing a second movie. I know they're doing a second Joker movie, or they're almost done
oh,
with the
come
Joker
on now.
2 with
Lady Gaga.
Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. Yes,
Ugh, I didn't like that movie. Joker.
and that's a choice.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just not my favorite vibe. And I like dark stuff. You know what I mean? Like I don't mind the occasional like dark thing, but I don't know. I just
It
didn't vibe with it at all. I didn't like
and
it.
Never
and
watched it.
Didn't even finish it cuz I didn't want to, yeah.
it was the Joker is, for being a clown, is a dark character,
Oh yeah.
but they took it into more the psychology of what made this version of the Joker the way he is, and it was a very dark take. It was different.
Mhm.
It was, and he was not the chatty teeth and electric buzzer hand Joker by any stretch of the imagination. This was full on. I would have been interested to see him versus Heath Ledger's Joker
Oh
head
yeah.
on.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
They're doing
But
another Joker, but they're not doing another Birds of Prey.
oh, Birds of Prey was fun.
It
It
was.
was it was a fun movie. I did enjoy that.
Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is just so fantastic.
Yeah, but it sounds like she's moving over to Marvel Land too.
Quite possibly.
Quite
Who
possibly.
is she supposed to play in Marvel?
Susan Storm
Oh yeah.
is the rumor.
That whole cast seems interesting.
I don't know if I see her with Adam Driver, like as a couple.
Okay, is Adam Driver hot?
Yes.
Wait a minute. I'm conflating him with Adam Brody, and it's breaking me a bit.
Yeah, that's
Driver,
Kylo
got
Ren. Kylo
Thank
Ren.
you. Thank you. I'm just like, wait, no, I'm
I
thinking
think
the wrong
it
guy.
depends on
Thank
how
you.
they style his hair
yeah.
for Mr. Fantastic.
When he was in
Yeah.
Girls, I hated his character.
I don't think I saw. I didn't see
Yeah,
that
you
one.
wouldn't. Lena Dunham. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I like him, and he's confusingly hot. So listeners, tell us what if you think Adam Driver's hot, because it confuses me.
But anyways, back to the Flash. We keep going into Marvel Land.
Oh, we want to talk about everyone but the Flash. We want to talk about Batman, and we want to talk about the Aquaman.
Well, and okay,
and
so
yeah,
so
because we
okay,
just the Flash. Come on.
so with the future of DCU,
The
what does the E stand
DCEU
for?
extended.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Educational, exotic,
Extra.
the DC
exotic.
cinematic universe.
We got that in Batman and Robin, Steph.
It's true. Oh,
but
Oh
no.
my.
Okay, so then after. Okay, so what's the next?
they need to do a Power
DC
Girl movie for the exotic
Oh my
extended
gosh.
universe.
What's the next
The
DC
next
movie
DC
coming out? Is
movie
that Blue
should
Beetle?
be Blue Beetle.
Now,
Oh,
is that James Gunn thing or is it not?
No, this is so Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 were the last two movies on the slate from the previous management. So they're sorry. Gunn has said that they are going to dovetail into the new version of the DCU. So we may see the Blue Beetle character pushed forward into Gunn's version of the DCU. I don't know, and I don't know what they're doing with the characters from the Aquaman 2 movie, because there's talk of making Jason Momoa Lobo going forward.
right. Blue Beetle looks fun, but when he becomes Blue Beetle in just the preview,
The
the
trailer.
trailer, it's a lot. I was with my kids
Yeah.
watching it, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, I could
But
totally
no,
see that.
it looks fun, and I'm excited to have a Latinx superhero. I
You
think
just
that's
had
a fun
one
vibe
for that long.
for a hot minute.
For a hot
So
minute.
yeah, no. Did they get rid of what's her face? Amber Heard for Mira? In
I don't know if
Aquaman
it's officially
2?
been done, but it seems like all the rumors are yes.
Okay,
Hmm.
we're going to do that, but we're not going to get rid of Ezra Miller. Ain't gonna make sense.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
and like that's the thing is like we don't know if Ezra Miller or anybody from his movie
Is
is
going
going
into-
to be in the future either. So it feels like everything is so up in the air with DC right now that I don't know, I'm kind of just at that point where I'm like, whatever happens. Like I'm not, and maybe it's just because I'm more of a Marvel person, but I still have always liked DC stuff. Like I find it still entertaining. I go see the movies, whatnot, but I'm just now at the point where I'm like, okay, what's the next movie? Oh, that looks cool. Let's go see it. But Marvel, I'm like, I gotta watch like some videos. I gotta like do some things and research and like watch it again. So it's a different vibe. It's
I
different.
feel like at this point with both DC and Marvel's kind of getting to the point, they have such good source material. Their comics are good. Their like animated movies and their cartoon series, they're good. And
Except
then
for the Killing Joke.
Yes, we don't talk about the Killing Joke.
Okay, we don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about the Killing Joke.
And
Got it.
we're Batman and Robin.
Or Indiana Jones 4. And then we
We'll
get
get there.
these movies that don't feel fully fleshed out. Or
This movie felt disjointed, honestly. It didn't know
yeah.
how serious it wanted to be in spots, didn't know how comedic to be in spots, and the pacing, I'm sorry, the trying to connect those two just felt off.
Well, and it felt that way when they did Batman versus Superman, where they're trying to kind of
Uh,
go off the Death of Superman comic book, which is fantastic again. And
we
they
have to have we have to have a show on that one because I've got many a thought on that I would love to share.
Ooh.
I'll have
I'll
my
have to watch it
husband be
again.
on because he has feelings about it.
I have many feelings about that movie.
So
None of them are
yeah,
good. No, one of them is good.
we
Everything else
have
is
such great source material, and then we get this,
well.
and
That's
this.
been the thing. I mean, that's to be fair. If you look at DC's animated slate for the past, actually, I'll take it all the way back to '92, going all the way back to Mask of the Phantasm.
That's when I
From
was
there
2.
forward,
Can't help it, Robert. I'm so sorry. Continue
well,
on.
when we went to the cinema back in the day and we saw the Batman
We
movie,
watched our serials.
It only cost a nickel.
if you go back,
I'm
if you
sorry.
go back to that far in DC's animated stable, and look at what they've produced with the source material at hand, and even adapting some of it so it's not one for one to the story that you saw in the comics, they have made amazing movies. They made actually one of the best Wonder Woman movies before the live action movie came out. Was an animated feature directed by Lauren Montgomery in 2000. Crud, I think it was 5, and it was an amazing take on the character. You got the Amazons, and they got everything right. You look at some of the adaptations of like Under the Red Hood, The Long Halloween, and just they've nailed it with these things. And then you look at their live action, and it seems like it's two different. It is two different companies effectively, because the animation studio and the movie studio are not part of a combined studio. At least they were not historically. It looks like this is changing under the Gun Saffron um, regime, but the the people who were running the animation studios and writing those stories and bringing those to the screen always, I mean, with I think for me, two exceptions, knocked it out of the park every time. And then you get the live action, and it seems like, oh, this is live action, and then corporate gets involved, like Warner Brothers corporate gets involved, like, well, you've got to do this and this and this and have these things in there, and you get far too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right.
And unfortunately, the movie viewer suffers for it.
Right.
I'm looking
So
at you, Green Lantern, even though I still like that movie.
for those reasons, I am hopeful to see what James Gunn is going to do.
I am hopeful of seeing what James Gunn has done historically and being given a more free hand to create and mold the future of the DC studios. I am cautiously optimistic.
I do question his opinions though, because he said this Flash movie is the best superhero movie he's ever seen.
Well, I also question his opinion in saying that they're adapting the Supergirl, your favorite Supergirl story, into the basis
yeah.
for the Supergirl movie that they're working on.
But it's not going to be this
Woman of
Kara.
Tomorrow. No, I doubt it will be that Kara.
It's too bad.
So does that mean we're getting rid of we're getting rid of Ezra, we're getting rid of Affleck, we're getting rid of we don't know?
We're getting rid of Clooney. No,
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
What about Jesse Eisenberg as
yeah.
what's
Again,
his name?
again, I have
Lex
opinions.
Luthor.
Um,
I had to say it.
you know, I'm looking forward to seeing after Aquaman 2 whether they completely shutter this, whether they fold elements of what has come before into it and just make it its own new thing. Um, given the changes that we saw come out of Flashpoint, which are one minor, well, actually two, they were pretty big, I guess, changes. With one, his dad being exonerated, and two, new Bruce.
Right.
Anything can happen, so they can pull elements from here and there and put them into the new universe. I think that would be a little bit disconcerting if handled ham-fistedly.
Well, and bottom line, this movie hasn't made a lot of money. So do they want to continue on with this rendition of Barry and the Flash when it's been received so poorly?
You mean Speed Skater Barry? Of course. I hope not.
It'll be yeah, James Gunn, I'm very interested to see where he'll take us. And yeah.
I hope we don't have to wait too long though. So if Blue Beetle
Well,
comes
we are
out
on a
this
writer's
summer,
strike too, so it might be
I
a hot
guess
minute.
you're right. But like, okay, so Blue
But
Beetle
Blue
comes
Beetle
out
is in the
this
can.
summer, right?
Later this summer, and then
And
Aquaman is slated for, I think, December.
Okay.
Okay, so it is like gonna be out this year, probably. If
If
not,
they don't
maybe
get-
Q1 next year.
If they don't get Jason Momoa to be Lobo, Mangiano, what's his name?
Oh, Joe
Oh,
Manganiello.
He would be a great Lobo. I feel like him and Momoa have similar vibes too.
yeah.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is slated currently for December 20th, 2023 in the US.
Okay.
But that could change. That's still far enough away that they could
course.
just be like, we'll do it in December 20th of 2024.
What's the next Marvel movie to come out?
The Marvels.
The Marvels in
Oh, so
November.
nothing for a hot minute.
No, so we get
We've got the TV show.
Yeah, we got
Secret
Guardians,
Invasion.
Secret Invasion, and you'll hear it here first. I think that we may see Star-Lord in either Secret Invasion or the Marvels.
Oh, I
And
could see that
then
happening.
Loki season 2 is October?
And they've pushed Echo.
Echo's in November, but they're dropping all episodes at once.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're not doing week by week, but Echo comes out in November, but I think, didn't they say Loki, they announced a release date? I want to say it's October.
They did, and I wish I could remember, but I think it was mid-October or early November.
Yeah. So, anyways, lots of good stuff. I know a lot of people have superhero fatigue. I don't. I think it's fun. And I honestly I love these conversations with you guys, and I always love the conversations outside the movie theater right afterwards. Everyone's just talking about what they loved and hated and whatnot. I find such fun social interactions with these kinds of things as well.
I feel like people would have less superhero fatigue if they gave us worthwhile things to consume. Because we keep going in hoping for something good, especially with DC movies. And I like DC more than I like Marvel most of the time. I give Marvel a lot of crap and flack. But DC, it's usually underwhelming with their live action movies.
I believe that I said when we left the theater, I was completely whelmed by this movie. I wasn't overwhelmed. I wasn't underwhelmed. I was just whelmed.
That's one of my favorite.
I think you can in Europe. So why don't we grade this movie then?
Are we grading in cupcakes?
No, wrong show.
Oh, sorry.
What should we rate it in?
Okay, Marley, you grade it 1 to 10. I'll grade it A to F, and Robert, you grade it in
Lego bricks.
Yes. What's the good Lego brick amount? I was going to give you stars. 1 out of 4 stars. So you could do 1 out of 4 Lego bricks.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so mine is 1 to 10. 10 being it was fantastic, right?
Yeah. 10 being Shrek.
Okay,
10 being Shrek.
Wow, I had no idea.
1 being Batman and Robin.
Oh, wait a minute. I know how I can grade this movie.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think I would give it. I keep thinking 7.5. I feel like it was a decent enough movie. It was entertaining. There were some good funny moments. There were some cool action scenes. It was nice to kind of see a little bit more of this character. I mean, we got to see him twice because there were 2 of him. But I think it was overall it was fun. Sure, there were some issues with the CGI and even some of the plot a little bit, but I think overall it was very enjoyable. And like even if you're not if you go into it with kind of lower or mid expectations, like I still think like I'd still recommend it to people.
I give it a B, somewhere between a B and a B minus, so like a bi-miss. It was fine. That's it.
Okay.
So I've got a 1 to 4 scale to work with, so that gives me a little less wiggle room.
Yep.
I would give it. That's too much. Like 2 3/4 stars, not quite 3. It was as Marley says, there were parts of it that were good. The story did move. For me, the nostalgia factor of getting to see Michael Keaton. I guess Christopher Reeve, because I did kind of see an image of him, so that does count.
Yeah.
And some of the little ins and outs of that, but it was not. It didn't wow me. It didn't give me the consistent thrill that I expected to have, and I knew there was going to be darkened elements, and I expected those, and those played out very similarly to how I expected. I was disappointed that they just like I said, they brought in these characters, and then we're like, you're all never coming back.
Right.
So I was disappointed by that. So I'm going to say 2.5 to 2 3/4 stars. Would I recommend it if you're a fan of the Flash? Maybe. And I'm trying not to bring my bias into it. I think that if you enjoyed Ezra Miller's Flash in the Justice League movie, I think that you'll appreciate what he does with it here. It is interesting to see him playing 2 different roles of Barry Allen and playing them differently and interacting and how they interact with each other. Interactions with other characters were good. A couple of the cameos made me smile. So I can't quite give it 3, but I'll give it 2 3/4.
So was it the best superhero movie you've ever seen?
No.
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 James.
Which
I just yeah, my 10 for movies is Superman, the 78 one, before you were born.
Yeah.
But that movie tells a superhero story, and even though it's slightly dated these days, the way that it plays out over that arc, and if you include Superman 2, the Donner cut, which tells the complete story the way Richard Donner originally wanted to tell it in 2 parts,
Of the
and
Donner
not
Party. Sorry, continue on with your explanation.
I knew that was coming.
Cannibalism. I love it.
Superman 2 was disappointing because the director got fired halfway through and replaced, and the tone of that movie was very unbalanced because of that. So Warner Brothers a number of years ago released the full Donner cut of Superman 2 because he shot a good portion of it concurrently with Superman 1 because he had the one single story he wanted to tell in 2 parts. And those go ahead.
Is that with Marlon Brando as Jor-El?
It is. Where he says Krypton a lot.
Yeah. Krypton.
That, those movies are kind of my 10 for superhero movies, actually for most movies, really. So this was not the best movie. It was not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen. Would I watch it again? Maybe. I am not as against watching this as I would be against watching Batman versus Superman. Which,
Oh,
having seen
wow.
twice, I don't want to ever see again.
I'm going to see this again with some friends tomorrow night, and I'd much rather watch this movie than watch Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania again.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say I like this more than Quantumania, but I've liked Guardians 3 more than The Flash.
I
But
mean,
I
I
like
would hope
Into
so.
the
Guardians 3
Spider-Verse
was really good.
over all of them.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, though, I was gonna say, like, with James Gunn's comment about being the Flash being the greatest superhero movie, I was like, dude, you did Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Like, that's a pretty solid superhero movie. Like, I don't know. It's like, did he forget about Guardians of the Galaxy when he made that
No,
statement?
but he's no longer working for Marvel, so he has to support the company for whom he works, and it
Yeah,
pays
okay.
him exorbitant amounts of money.
Okay, James Gunn.
Switching teams.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I've got the Kool-Aid now.
Oh goodness. Okay, you guys. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Don't forget to give us your comments and thoughts on our Discord channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Join our Discord.
Discord.ageofgeek.com. It will take you right to the link.
We're
The
probably
invite.
going to be talking more comic book stuff the next couple weeks, and we might do another AMA. Ask me anything.
Another live? Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
I think another
Ooh.
AMA could be fun.
We should. That would be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure coming up at some point in the next couple months, we will definitely do a Secret Invasion review / recap as well, since that's coming out soon.
I'll make sure to have my eye patch ready.
I'm so excited. I'm excited for that, Robert, and I'm excited for the show. But yes, thank you guys for listening. If you have thoughts on The Flash, or we didn't cover some things, because there was a lot that happened in this movie, and hit us up, tell us what you think. So yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank
And
you.
this time
Thanks.
I'm gonna remember to do the outro. Here we go.
This has been an Age of Geek media production.